Hey guys, hey, I just want y'all to look at this real quick. Look at this image right here. And then look at this piece of news. And I'm not sure whether people have been paying attention to this, but I want to bring your attention. I just want to say there's something that happens to people when they get to a certain tax bracket. And it's like they lose a certain level of reality, I guess. And, the thing is, as I always say, in the words of Paul Mooney, we all get our N-word wake-up call eventually. But there's something that happens when people get to a certain tax bracket. I've seen it happen with multiple celebrities. Look at this recent thing with Oprah and Gayle. And people have a right to be friends with whomever they want to be friends with. But you also need to remember where you come from and who you belong to. And I don't care how much money you make. You never stop being Black when you're a Black person. And eventually you always get reminded. Something will always happen to remind you of what they really think of you. And it just seems to me very short-sighted for Gayle and Oprah to be cavorting, especially with this particular white woman at this particular time. And then this thing with Venus and Serena is just super disappointing to me. And these things show up at work. For example, I remember having a coworker, and she and I got along great. We went to lunch together. We hung out together. I went over to her house. All of these things. Got along great. As soon as she got named my supervisor, she became another person. Soon as she went from being in the same, salary bracket as me to up here, she became a completely different person and ended up being the person that caused me to have to cash out of my first job. And this was a Black woman, right? It's something that happens to some of us when we get to a certain level. Tax bracket, certain level, is something that happens to some of us. We forget who we are. And, Oprah has been on some BS as far as I'm concerned for quite some time. I don't really talk about her. I have a lot of respect for what she has built for herself, from going from a talk show host to where she is now. I have a lot of respect for it, but I also do not feel that the way that she conducts herself sometimes is in alignment with a lot of the things that she professes. And this picture right here is an example of that. But this thing with Venus and Serena is more disappointing, actually, because I'm not necessarily surprised by Oprah and Gayle cavorting with that woman, especially after the whole, Negroes on the Moon situation that happened recently. Negroes in outer space, as I like to call it. I'm not per se surprised by their gallivanting and their shenanigans. I am disappointed by Venus and Serena creating a podcast with a man who's an open white nationalist and white supremacist for his platform. That is deeply disappointing to me. And so I'm wondering whether you all have ever encountered this phenomenon where you know someone or you think you know them, and then they move to a new position or a new tax bracket, or a new position and a new tax bracket, and they get brand new on you. But all I want to say is, for those of you who choose to do that, I want you to know that your wake-up call is coming. If you haven't gotten it yet, it's coming. So stay strong, stay Black. See you guys soon.